back again for another video. In this video, I am going to discuss love and how it exists and my views on this. Now, this is all my opinion, but generally speaking, most of what I'm saying is socially understood. But I want to talk more to the things that are not socially understood when it comes to love, because love has become one of those cliche words that just represents an abstract rather than the actuality of the definition. What I mean by that is we have certain catchphrases and terms in our English language that implies certain aspects or rhetorics of conversation. And love is one of those things. So it's very subjective because you can use it in a technical sense or a subjective sense. Basically an objective sense or a subjective sense. But let anybody tell it, there's no objectivity to love. But I am here to tell you a little bit different. There is some objectivity to love because we can quantitatively say what creates it. Just like we can with most emotions, we're very much biological animals, creatures. So we follow the same principles of anything else biological in this world when it comes to certain aspects. But we have a higher cognitive ability than all of the animals on the planet, to our understanding currently. So the way things manifest to us may not be the same, and probably are not the same way they manifest for other species or animals on this planet. Mammals on this planet as well. But they do display some things, some characteristics. But it's all based on the level of consciousness. But anyway, love is definitely a chemical reaction. Now that offends a lot of people, but that is the scientific truth of it. Love is not something that can be created from thin air when it comes to the energy that is put into it. There is a chemical reaction that happens within your body that creates and pushes out the hormones that give you the feeling of love. So it's tangible in that sense, because you can quantitatively account for what love weighs in so many words. Although at the same time, there's so much subjectivity to it, because we don't all love the same. Air quotes, love the same. And we don't all view love as the same thing as far as definition goes. One thing that we can agree on is that it's a very strong emotion. And it will cause you to do a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily do for someone that you did not claim that you love. And in previous videos, I've said that I would rather have, I actually made a video about it, love is great, or respect is greater than love. See that video. But I don't personally believe love is that important when it comes to the direction that I want my life to go into. Now, I'm not saying that I don't want to love or be loved. What I'm saying is there are other things that they're a priority before love to me. In order for me to have a functional reciprocal relationship with someone, there are a lot of things that precede love in order to create that situation. Love doesn't exist in the reality, because once again, this is an emotion. And as you know, if you don't, emotions don't exist in the reality because we cannot weigh them. We can't smell them, we can't touch them, we can't see them. A lot of people say, oh, you can see that this person loves them by X, Y, and Z. No, that is an action. You can't gauge a person's level of love based on their actions, because once again, there's no such thing as selflessness. It all starts with you and your reasoning for wanting to do what you want to do. So therefore, you can't, I guess you can say, say that an action represents someone loving, because how many times have someone said that they love you and you actually believed it based on their actions, then later on come to find out that the complete opposite is true? Once again, love is not something that can be seen. But I totally get it. I'm not here to destroy anybody's idea of what they believe the reality is. I'm just here to tell you mine. And if it destroys it in the process, so be it. I'm here to teach. But anyways, so I've had many conversations about love. Love isn't, I guess you can say, it's not necessity. It's not a necessity at all when it comes to the survivability rate of human beings. It's not a necessity to even procreate, as we can see with our 70% out of wedlock birth rate. Because a lot of people, I'm sure, in those situations that make up that 70%, felt that they loved somebody at some point in time. Whether you're the male who contributed to that 70% or you're a female who contributed to that 70%. Either way, you said you love that person. And now look at the circumstances. You're not with that person anymore. So love is not a necessity to procreate, nor is it a necessity to have a strong structural relationship. We got that notion from a romanticized version of what relationships should be through the European diaspora. I believe romanticism started up around about, as far as text goes, around about the 1400s, 1500s area. And that's been a part of their culture forever. Though there are many instances in where we can relate to romanticism in the African culture and the African diaspora. This is a notion that has been adopted by our people rather than one that was created within our people. Maybe it was created, who knows? They stole a lot of stuff. But the definition term and the coin term comes from a European descent. To my knowledge, anyways. If anybody can dispute me wrong, please do, because I'm here to learn and I'm here to teach as well. So I'm not going to get all butthurt if I'm wrong. But to my knowledge, that's the way that I see it. But the conversations that I've had with people is, people get really offended, especially women. They get really offended when I say love is inconsequential to life. And that just, I almost see the soul crushing them sometimes, It's kind of weird. Most of the stuff I say, because it's anticlimactic to anything that is a woman's fantasy. That's what I've found out. But I live in a reality. I have no choice. If I choose to live outside of the reality, then that is going to be the destruction of the things that I have built within the reality. So I don't really have a choice but to live here. Anyways, love to me is once again an emotion. It can be manifested into actions. Although at the same time, a lot of things can be manifested into actions. So I don't view love as any more important than anger or happiness or sadness or joy. I don't believe any one of these things are more important than the other, because they are all necessary for the human condition as it stands currently. And this is just to our social natures. It is necessary for us to go through these emotions, because it is a part of who we are, and who we become as human beings. But anyways, let's talk about relationships and love, because this is what this is all about. The relation that you have to your reality. And since emotions do not live within the reality, how does it relate to you in the reality? It comes from, once again, those manifestations. But you have to know how to look for them, and you have to know what they look like. Love to me is, in my opinion, love to me is sacrifice. And I don't mean giving someone, a few dollars or something like that. You can't say that someone loves you. But when you begin to understand what the core nature of a person is and what their drive is, what is causing them to move forward in life, and they give you they take away a portion of their drive, the energy that they have for their drive to put into you, that's what I mean by sacrifice. We see this in many ways. For instance, let's say I've had plenty of relationships where I can denote points where the women have loved me and I have loved the women. I believe we each individually, as the different sexes, love differently. And that's just due to our natures. It's not meaning that one is better than the other. It's just that that's the way it is. I don't live in a world of morality when it comes to the nature of things. But anyways, the examples that I have in my lifetime, I'll give you one or two. Was when my ex moved to Arizona with me. She didn't want to do that because she was very much family oriented and she wanted to live around her family. And she was vehemently against leaving New York. But in order to be with me, it would have to be so because I was in the military. Her family is a weird bunch, but they have close ties, pretty much dysfunctional. I mean, whose family's not dysfunctional these days? But she left and she came with me, and this was once again against her core nature. Her core nature was to be around her family, so she made that sacrifice to come with me. Even though we had children together, even though there were other things in place at the time, even though those things were in place, I'm guaranteeing you that without the love, without the sacrifice, none of that would have mattered. She would have stayed in New York. The other important one that I want to give you as far as the example is my love for my children. Now, people say this is straightforward, but we see plenty of instances in the world where people clearly have disdain for their children due to the fact that the way they treat them or their own history of what childhood meant to them versus what they should see their child have to go through. And this comes in the form of abuse, neglect, all sorts of things. So, I mean, we can most times make a clear distinction between if someone loves their children or not. Most times. But for me, it comes in the form of sacrifice again, because I sacrifice a lot of my time. I sacrifice a lot of my mental faculties. I sacrifice everything that means something to me, because the most important things to me in this world, and I don't care who gets offended about it, is my time and my money. Those are the most important things to me in this world, the physical world. God would be, of course, ahead of all that, but God doesn't live in this physical world, in my opinion. But in my physical world, these are the most important things to me. And now people would ask, how could you love your children if you put those things ahead of your children? Well, because look at our community. Our community doesn't value time. Our community does not value money. And even if they were to put children ahead of those things, which most people have, it still comes in the form of neglect in some form or fashion, in my opinion. Because if you don't have time for your children and you don't have the money to take care of your children, you're considered an irresponsible parent and you shouldn't have had children, right? So why wouldn't this be any different? Why wouldn't I prioritize those things ahead of being a father, if not having those things ahead of being a father makes me irresponsible as a parent? The antithesis is true. But anyways, I've talked long enough. Don't want to make this a boring video. I know you guys are waiting for for the gusto. Y'all waiting for it. Yeah, my knuckles is ashy. You've been working today. You feel me? You know what I mean? Dusty nigga crew. But anyways, that's my take on love. And to recap, love is simply sacrifice. That's the best manifestation that you can see of love. Sacrifice. But it does not exist here. For all you people that think that love can be interchangeable and no, it's everlasting. No. Love comes in spurts. Just like any other emotion does. Don't let the romanticization of love romanticize you completely out of reality of what love is. Come to the reality of it. You can't love someone 24/7. It's not possible. This is just like you can't hate someone 24/7. You can't be angry 24/7. You can't be happy 24/7. Because if people could harness these emotions like they wanted to, that's exactly what they will be all the time. But we see the opposite is being true. So therefore, love is no different than any of these other emotions that can't be 100% sustainable. And you should accept that. That's just the way it is. But anyways, if you guys have any questions, hit me up. I'm usually readily available. Sometimes. I live a very busy life, but I'm a multitasker. I can shoot an email off, no problem. Most times. Most times. Not all the time. But, got any questions, hit me up. Want to have a little chat dialogue, hit me up. I can't be on the phone or in text forever. Believe that. Because I got other things that are priorities. And I wouldn't be a man if I didn't prioritize some things ahead of me. So if you're going to message me or contact me in any form or fashion, be considerate of that. Not saying that you can't contact me, but don't expect a quick reply. But anyways, this has been a Wolf and Beta Close. May you have a good day, and peace be with you. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe to my other channel. It's called Wolf and Alpha Attire. I probably should start doing that in that head. I keep forgetting. But anyways, may peace be with you, and have a good day.